So, Kganki, thank you very much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership. But before we go into the future, can you share a little bit about your own background? Where did you grow up?
Thank you very much, Nick, for the opportunity. I grew up in a rural area next to the town that is now called Polokwane. We didn't have crashes, so I went directly from home to primary school, and then I did my secondary school. And when I finished my secondary school, I didn't have money to study anything. I didn't even know what to study anyway. And then what I did, because it was just before the end of apartheid and then before democracy, I was admitted at a teachers college to study, because I studied commercial subjects, and I declined the opportunity, and I spent a year teaching, being like a temporary teacher, teaching mathematics, economics, and accounting. And I raised enough money that then helped me to pay for my first year. And then during that time, the only careers that I knew about were policeman, teacher, and doctor.
Yeah.
I was not exposed to all these other careers, because those were the only people middle class or that time that I had access to.
Yeah.
And I think hence what I did when I was at tertiary institution, I established an organization called Mathomo Mayo Youth Club to organize career guidance for kids in the village. And I invited companies, I invited a tertiary institutions to go to the village, because of poverty, people could not afford to travel even from the village to town, which is around 50 kilometers. That's where career guidances were held. So I took it upon myself to invite institutions to come to the rural area school, so that the kids can have access to career guidance, and not accidentally stumble into a career like I did.
Right. And tell us, Kganki, sorry?
Yeah, I'm saying, so what then happened, I raised, as I said, I raised enough money to pay for my first year, and from there, I studied very, very hard, and to make sure that I bought bursaries. Also, I have been then sponsored by bursaries since then.
Yeah.
Yes, and
tell us, Kganki, who inspired you in your early days?
Yeah, I think there were three people who inspired me. The first one is my mother, who managed to raise 8 kids. My father was sickly, and she managed to raise 3 kids and most of us to school with the salary of a domestic worker. The second person, or maybe the couple, where the people where my mother worked, they stayed in a township called Leboagomu, and so I used to visit there during weekends, and they actually inspired me to do better, and I sort of also, I could see physically how an educated couple was living. So it became almost like a practical, a practical view of what is possible if you take education serious. And I think that's where I sort of took the inspiration to say, whatever I do, I must prioritize education by all means.
Right. And Kganki, your career took you to Anglo Platinum, Transnet, City Power, the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, the BMF Business Unity, Centec, and advisory councils in ICT and the Limpopo Premier. And today you are the CEO of the Black Business Council. Looking back over your career, would you say there was a major turning point, or maybe a number of turning points?
Yes, I think that there were a number. The first one is that again when I studied at that was called the West Technikon, which is now University of Johannesburg. I used to work at I'm not sure if you may remember at Stutterford.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I after school Friday, I used to work at Stutterford. So my heart really bled when the Stutterford closed. I used to work at the in Eastgate. So there I learned customer service because they taught us that make sure that you attend to all customers who come here. Don't look at how a customer is dressed, or you think this type of customer will buy, this type of customer won't buy. And that helped me to then understand the value of customer service, to ensure that you keep your promises, and the customer is key and king. That was one. The second one, when I finished my national diploma, I then got appointed in Anglo Platinum in Rustenburg. And that was a good training program because it basically took me through all the finance related sections. So I did payroll, I did auditing, I did management accounting, I did financial accounting, I did stock taking and purchasing and all those things. So it gave me an overall picture of how a company operates. And then the other one is when I went to the Black Management Forum, I basically moved from finance and then moved to operations. And then I went to Busa, did the operations, and then I went to Centec, did operations. And that taught me a lot because I then realized that if you want to progress in life, you need to be at the center. So at any company that you are at, you need to be where the core business is, because that's where decisions are taken. You should try by all means to avoid to be what is called a cost center, by all means to be a profit center, because that's where decisions are taken. And then I think that has turned my life around and my career around, and yeah, and now I do sit on a few boards, and I think I get approached now and then decide which one to take or not to take. But moving from finance to operations actually changed my career.
And Kganki, what is driving you today?
Yeah, I think what is driving me today is making a difference, making a difference in a lot of young people, making a difference in the country, making a contribution, making sure that I make a difference that will leave South Africa a better place, and ensure that my kids don't have to have the same struggles and fight the battles that I should have fought. And I think hence I chose to be in economic transformation because that the political struggle has ended. The big struggle is about the economy, to make sure that the economy is inclusive, and it will become the economy that everyone else can buy into, and everyone can feel like they are part of it, and everyone can participate without being excluded by this or that act. So hence I decided to be at the center of economic transformation.
Now, Kganki, looking into the future, and I know it's a big question, but what does the future of leadership mean to you?
Yeah, I think we need the having learned from the past, we need the leadership that is ethical. We need leadership that is not selfish. We need leadership that will think of the impact of whatever they do, and to be long-term in nature. If you look at the model of China, it will have its own issues as well. But if you take the positive of the model of China, there's certainty. So everyone knows where China is going. Whether you agree with it or not is a different discussion. So when there's a change of leadership, there's no change of direction. So for me, the future leadership should be like that for the whole world, where we know where the world is going, and then in our language is called like policy certainty, where you can companies can and individuals can plan properly, knowing that this is where we're going as a nation or as a world.
And Kganki, what have you learned from your own journey that you consider most important for building future leaders?
Yeah, the important thing is to have mentors. So I always had mentors. I still have mentors even now, and the important thing is to approach them, because you need to look at the people who inspire you and make a plan to find their contact details, approach them. Some mentors may work, some may not work, but that helps, because then you have sounding boards. People will tell you if you are doing something wrong, and so on. The second thing is also to surround yourself with people who are doing better than you, because otherwise you become complacent and think you are the star. So as they say, if you are in a room and you are the smartest person in that room, you are in the wrong room. You need to go and look for a different room where you are an underdog, because that keeps you on your toes. It pushes you, and it makes you to want to achieve at all times. And people who are doing better than you, they will be able to tell you the truth. They will give you proper feedback. Unlike if you are surrounding yourself with people that think you are doing better than them, they become a head. They have a mentality of a head where everything you say and everything you do, they think is right, and they won't have the capacity.
And Kganki, when you address aspiring leaders, what is it you tell them about social media? How should they navigate social media to build their own leadership brand?
Yeah. There's something called, I learned this from Professor Raymond Parsons. He said there's something called walking on eggs. So social media is like walking on eggs. So you can do well today, and then tomorrow you are finished. So the important thing is for people not to be excited, but people need to embrace social media. But they should not do it for the likes and to be popular. They should do it to build their brand in a sustainable way and not be in a hurry, because when you're in a hurry, that's where you make mistakes. You want to be popular quicker, and that can kill you, because once one wrong post or article, your career can be finished, as it has been displayed with various people who actually lost their careers because of excitement and wanting to be popular.
Right. Now, Kganki, what is your advice for future leaders in terms of challenges? What are some of the biggest challenges future leaders should expect to encounter in their career?
Yeah, I think one thing that people should be aware of or avoid is people should not unnecessarily compete. As they say, you should run your own race. Because I've seen instances where someone comes into a company and look at the CEO and look at the senior executives and say, I'm more qualified than them. So I'm joining today with zero experience. I'm more qualified than them. Then I deserve to be the CEO. And the people just became unhappy, because that's not how life works. It doesn't mean if you get your PhD today, then you automatically become a CEO. You have to go through the ranks and let your ropes, because you can't. One thing that you cannot buy is experience, and you have to be very careful of being sometimes being over promoted, because you're missing an important experience down the line, which you'll need in the future. So people have to make sure that they must understand that it's important sometimes to take your time.
Now, Kganki, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are some of the new skills you would want to factor in?
Yeah, firstly, we need to adopt technology. And when you look at the lessons from COVID, COVID has actually forced us to adopt technology. It has actually accelerated the adoption of technology more than any other person will have done. No one imagined last year this time that now we'll be working from home, conducting interviews of appointing CEOs and senior leadership on virtually without meeting them. So I think it's important. Related to that, we need to understand that we are moving towards what's called fourth industrial revolution, where you've got artificial intelligence, we've got machines talking to each other in the form of Internet of Things. We've got robots doing the work. Already, if you are a data capturer, for example, in finance, there's no need for a data capture in finance, because everything is automated. You just scan the invoice, the machine calculates the tax that needs to be paid, allocate it properly, and put it in the financial statements. So it's important that we embrace the fourth industrial revolution, and then find space for ourselves there, and do things that are critical that cannot be done by machines. We need to find a way of predicting the future careers that don't exist as we speak, and position ourselves to be there. So the curriculum should definitely include ICT, and so that even the kids can start now learning the future technology. And I think some of the schools are busy with robotics and so on. And I think that's the way to go for everything, because there's no going back. Like the way we're working even if COVID disappears tomorrow, we're not going to go back to where we are.
And Kganki, as a mentor to future leaders, can you maybe share a success story where you mentored an upcoming leader and that person took your advice to heart?
Yeah, I remember there's a young man, now he was a young man, then now he's a grown-up man, he's in his 40s. When I met I think at, let me see, 1999, and he had actually passed his matric very, very well, accounting and maths, but he was working, he decided to go and work at Anglo-American in Rustenburg. I met him there and I told him that, no, I think you should resign and go work and go to school full time, because he had only matric. And he left. He went to Wits University, did his BCom. He did his articles. He became a CA, a chartered accountant, and now he's a senior investment banker in one of the banks. So he took the advice that I provided him. And we're in touch now and then. We meet and he always, when we have functions, he always relates the story to other people. So that's just one of the examples. There are many others where people have listened. Like I did listen to other mentors before. Even those ones who encouraged me to move from finance to operations, and it has worked. So it's very, very, very important to have mentors in your life.
And Kganki, looking back over your leadership journey, who are the role models of leadership that you have encountered and you would recommend future leaders should study and learn from?
Yeah, I think there are a lot, and I'll just mention a few. I think one of them is Mpoma Kwana, who's a chairman of ArcelorMittal now. He is very, very cool and calm, but firm. The next one is Nolita Fakude, who's now a chairman of the board, of the executive board of Anglo-American. The other one is Muthetho Nyati, who's the CEO of Altron. And I think people like the founder, Elon Musk, I think needs to be studied because he has inspired beside the fact that is from South Africa, he's inspired the world. Yes, make sure that the impossible is achieved. Remember when he told people that he can have the cost of going to space by making sure that the equipment that is used to space, because it was discarded into the ocean. He made sure that you can recover that and reuse it many times. So you need those type of pioneers who will then actually assist you in your leadership journey. So it's important that young people and then future leaders also read books. There's a book called 48 Laws of Power. It actually helps you a lot. For example, one of the first law in the book is never outshine your master. Because I've seen people making career blunders by competing with their bosses in public, in a public meeting, trying to make their boss look stupid, and they end up with their life being made miserable and having to exit the organization. So it's important that we learn from the people who have done this things before. so that we don't repeat the same mistakes ourselves.
Right. And Kganki, how can our listeners connect with you, and where should they follow you?
I'm available on Facebook as Kganki Matabane, also at LinkedIn as Kganki Matabane, on Twitter as Kganki Matabane as well. So I am available, and I do try and respond to all messages, because at least with the information technology, you can respond anytime, anywhere you are. So even in the middle of the night, I'm able to respond.
And last but not least, Kganki, is there one piece of advice that you would really like to convey to future leaders that they should implement in their own life?
Yeah, what actually worked for me is to draft resolutions, and I draft them. I put them in a place where I can see them every day, and they don't have to be many, 10 or so. I think is enough. And then what I do then on a quarterly basis, I evaluate the progress. So, for example, let's say I say I want to lose weight. I'll then put the divide it into quarters and say I'll lose 1 kg, maybe 1 quarter, the second one, and then say, how do I lose it? I'll run maybe 10 kilometers once a week, or I'll stop eating sugar, or drinking fizzy drinks, and so on. So divide it into manageable objectives, and then implement it, because you can have the best plan ever, but if you don't implement it and have the discipline and the energy, it will just remain a paper. So it has actually worked for me, and it put pressure on me, because if I, for example, I started, I would have a plan that says I must earn so much, this type of salary by the end of the year, and if that didn't happen, then I'll have to, if where I am could not give me that, then I'll look for another job. But it helps to also do the reviews, because it then tells you where you are as compared to the to the plan. I never compare or compete with other people. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, so Kganki, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom into the future of leadership, and reminding us that we should all run our own race and rather be the underdog and look for a room where we're not the smartest.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for your time, Nick. It's highly appreciated.